So in this little section, it's pretty easy, but they like to sort of complicate things by just throwing in a curveball. But basically, everything that you've learned already can be applied to this, even though it's going to be a little bit different. So for example, in our first little example right here, we have 49k to the fourth minus 9. And if we try to factor out a GCF, it doesn't work. 49 has a GCF of 1 and 7, while this has a GCF of 1 and 3 and 9. So that's not really going to work. And then if we look at our variables, we can see, well, obviously we could take out k to the fourth, but this one has nothing. So in this case, we don't have a GCF. But that's okay, because we can still apply what we learned in our previous section back in example 1 in these new scenarios. So in example 1, I think it was problem number 7 in the homework. It said 3p to the fifth minus 192p to the third, and we factored out a GCF and we sort of worked it out, and it was a difference, difference of squares. So we can apply the same concept to this. And before we do that, we just want to ask ourselves, well, what is this squared by? Obviously, we know 7 squared gets us 49, but our k, well, that can be k squared. If we were to square this, then it'll give us 49k to the fourth. So then we can look at the next piece, that negative 9. That's just going to be 3 squared. And so we have our two pieces, 7k squared and 3. And just like what we did previously, if you can refer to the previous video, but we can take this and we can apply it to our sum and difference. So it'll be 7k squared plus 3, and then 7k squared minus 3. And this becomes our answer. So just because we were not able to factor out a GCF in this case does not mean that we cannot rise and overcome. So we can do the same thing with this next one. Just because it has to the fourth and to the second and nothing happens here doesn't mean we can't still factor it. So I'm going to do the same thing as I did before, but now I'm going to just do my diamond really fast. I got my 9 on top and my 20 on the bottom. Do my factors of 20, 1 and 20, 2 and 10. 3 doesn't work, 4 and 5, and that's about it. Ask myself, what can I combine together, either adding or subtracting, to get me my 9, and it'll be adding 4 and 5. And it says that both my signs are positive. So I would say C plus 4 and C plus 5. And then I just have to ask myself, well, if I if I multiply C times C, does it give me C to the fourth? No, it doesn't. So I can actually change this to C squared and C squared. If I add that, or multiply, not add, if I multiply that, that'll give me my C squared. And if I'm still a little worried about it, I can go ahead and I can just multiply it out. So I can FOIL this piece right here and see, does it actually give me C to the fourth plus 9C squared plus 20? So if I FOIL it, that gives me C to the fourth. Outside gives me 5C squared. Inside gives me 4C squared. And then the last gives me 20. Combine my like terms, and it does in fact give me my original problem here. So just because our exponent is a little bit higher than it was previously doesn't mean that everything we learned just goes out the window. So when you come to a new problem like this, just ignore the fact that it says C to the fourth, or ignore the fact that it says K to the fourth. Just do your best and see, well, maybe, just maybe, you might be able to figure it out and not fall for their trap.